Happy Friday to you, Choral Artisans. It's a rainy afternoon. I'm actually on a break at work and thought I'd take some time to communicate some thoughts to you. This is actually the first installment of Rick's Rehearsal Review, where we'll look at the previous week's rehearsal, kind of review and remind ourselves of some things that are important, and then as we look forward to upcoming rehearsals as well. We talked on Monday night about the fundamentals of choral singing. And the first two are correct pitches and right rhythms, right? Singing the right pitch at the right time. And many choruses feel that this is their primary goal. And that's what they work towards. And they're off and in preparation for a performance. If those two things are done correctly, then they feel that the job has been done. Not for the choral artisans. That's where just music making begins. Because unless we don't have correct pitches and right rhythms, there can be no expression, articulation, and some of the higher levels of music, because those two are just a given. And so how do we stretch ourselves to move beyond that to the correct elements of speech, whether it be vowels or consonants, looking and executing dynamic ranges from a mezzo piano to a forte, and that we're not singing everything at the same dynamic, that it's delivered in a vocal color. Are we asking for a bright tone or something that's a little bit more dark or a bruised sound? Next, that's sensitive to musical style and structure. Music is historical, and so that means that it was written at a particular time. The composer was expressing the cultural needs at that time in history. So that means that we would not sing a Bach chorale the same way that we would sing, for instance, a Alice Parker and Robert Shaw carol arrangement, right? So that every song doesn't sound the same as far as the style. And then lastly, that there's a sensitivity to textural and emotional qualities, right? That language is important, and there is a story that's being told, and who speaks this story, and who is listening to this story, and what is the message of this piece, and what was going on in the composer's life at that particular time, the larger context of those things that surround the particular song or piece of music. So all of that's important. I've said this before, but I just want to remind you that great corporate sound depends upon great individual responsibility. And so I'm needing every vocalist to be responsible and to do some legwork when it comes to learning your part, so that you're not necessarily depending upon your neighbor for the correct pitch or tone, but that you've put some effort. As a choral artisan, you approach your craft with discipline. And when I think about discipline, it's not so much a matter of putting effort toward something, but discipline is the ordering of the random. And that means that you're just stripping away all of those things that don't serve the purpose that's in front of you. And so as you listen to the audio files, there are a couple of things that I want you to think about to be disciplined. And number one would be that you would have the score in front of you. Now, I realize that many of you, it's easy for you to be listening to those files on your way home from work or to work, and I get that. Don't stop that for sure, but would like for you, in addition, to set aside some time to have the score in front of you, and to have a pencil, actually, so that you can make some markings. And I'm asking that because I'm wanting you to absorb the score, to absorb the musical materials or the musical narrative, so to speak, that's unfolding before you, and that there are connections that are taking place, that you're not just this silo singer or silo score reader. You're just making sure that which one are my notes and I need to make sure that I'm singing them correctly. But it's about context. It's about the harmonic structure. That's why these sectional audio files aren't just one particular note being plucked out for you to hear. But I'm wanting you to hear, to get that full harmonic structure, so that you see how your particular part fits in with the whole. All right? So have a score available when you listen. Number 2 is don't necessarily work on the parts that you already know. Okay? Take some time to determine which spots are giving you problems, and then work a plan. And that plan could start very simple, from just listening to the pitches, right? And just singing your pitches, slowing the tempo down, all right? And so just making sure that you have the particular pitches that in a sequence or in a phrase, and then adding the rhythm to that. And then you would add another layer when it comes to a language and text, which will come in a couple of weeks, so that you're just kind of building slowly but surely, adding these layers to your learning process. Also, I would mention to you to think about the structure of the piece. How is it organized? A lot of these carols, we have a verse or many verses followed by a refrain. And so how does one refrain after verse 1, what does that sound like as the refrain after verse 3? Is it the same? Is it different? Why is that? Also, that you would be thinking about, is my part being sung by another section? And do I need to be listening for that? And one last thing I would say, if I can remember it, I'm almost 50 and I'm getting old here. But I would say this, and it's really important, I think, but that you should know your starting pitch. And so how are you going to go about that? As you look at your score, is your starting pitch something that one section has just finished with, and they end on a G natural, and then you are supposed to sing a G natural, so your ear is tuned to that, and you jump right in? Is it found in accompaniment, although we're doing the carols a cappella, and so that's not going to be as helpful for this go around. But also thinking about what is the particular note of this chord. Am I singing the tonic or the do in this particular key? G major, for instance, and you have a G, well, that would be do. And if you were singing a B, do, mi, sol, mi, do. So that could be another help to you as well.